Welcome back to the theatre, and the first thing I really would like to thank everyone, and in particular, you have brought sunshine to Swansea. And as probably most people associate Swansea with rain and wind, and which we kind of accept that, and but this week you haven't seen much rain and wind, so. And I hope you can, in the future, when you visualize Swansea, you will visualize wonderful sea view and wonderful sunny Swansea. And of course, without you, we could never make this conference. So almost everyone, track chairs, IPC members, and the session chairs, authors, and speakers, and of course, the audience. And of course, most important, and the people to make this happen is our local organizer, and many of them led by Bob Lellamy. Let's give everyone a round of applause. So when you visualize Swansea, I also would like to visualize faces as well. So hopefully you can come back and collaborate with colleagues here, and those other Swansea colleagues, as well as the colleagues in Wales, particularly Bangor, which is also have a strong visualization activity, and in the UK, and you met many of them, City University, and Edinburgh, Manchester, Leeds, and Bedfordshire, and of course, Middlesex and Oxford. So I hope I haven't missed anyone. And so there are many activities here, and I'm also hoping maybe City and Edinburgh will, or possibly Leeds, will volunteer for organizing the next EuroVis at some time near future. Okay, so without further ado, and this is the a sequence of activities before the capstone, and Bob Lellamy will introduce capstone later on. So we're going to have a Best Short Paper Award first, then followed by Best Full Paper Award, and followed by promotion for the upcoming or forthcoming events. And so let's invite our short paper Best Paper Award.
Okay, it's a great pleasure and honor to present this short paper award to you. So we in the following will refer to a committee of 3 people, me, Christian Heine, but also Paul Rosenthal and Alexander Wiebo. We chose an independent committee, or rather an independent committee was chosen so that there would be no conflict of interest with the short paper short paper committee. We were tasked to base our decision on 3 key factors. The first was, of course, the paper quality as assessed by the reviewers. But we were also instructed to pay attention to the changes that were made after the reviewers suggested them. So we evaluated the extent to which the paper authors followed their advice. And finally also we judged the quality of the presentation and a discussion after the presentation. So our process was as follows. First, we created a short list of papers that were rated summary rating of 4.0 or higher, 4 being the numerical equivalent of accept. So we selected papers that where there was low disagreement between reviewers and they ranked very highly. Confidence weighted or non-confidence weighted did not have an impact. We ended up with 5 papers. We went to all the talks, and after that we sat down. Each of us performed a separate rating, and then we were discussing whether we could try to remove any discrepancies in those ratings. But our results were pretty unanimous. If there was a discussion that bordered more around the number of honorable mentions and who to honor, and we finally decided to give 1 honorable mention this year, and I would invite the authors of this paper to step forward It's Jan Kretschmer, Bernhard Breim, Mark Stamminger for bilateral depth filtering for enhanced visual reformation. Concerning the best short paper, something happened that I did not anticipate. All three of us separately gave for this one paper the best rating possible. So you can assume there was not much discussion there. Rather, we were accumulating reasons or why it was so good in our eyes. And to give you just a few, I for one was very much taken back or very impressed by the literature research performed for this one project. And we also, of course, were in the talk and listened to the remarks that some of the that was raised by some members of the audience, and we agree with them. But still, we think that this paper will be the one that will provide a very fertile ground for future research, and thus will probably get the most citations in the future. And therefore, we would suggest that this is the most high-impact paper, high-impact short paper in this conference. And so please step forward. Natalie Karaka, Jesse Kennedy, and Kevin Chalmers. For the design space of temporal graph visualization.
The both prizes was donated by Springer, sponsored. For the best short paper is £250 book vouchers from Springer, and the honorable mention is a book donated by Springer. And best paper.
Okay, it's an honor for me now to reveal who was the committee for the best paper. It was David Evert, myself, Sylvia Miksch, and Gary Scheuermann. Our selection process was quite similar to the selection process of the short papers. We got the nomination from the paper chairs of a couple of papers, which were selected according to quantitative and qualitative rating. We looked independently of the quality of the paper. We examined the reviews, how the authors obeyed to the second round of reviews and to the final paper. We, as a committee, also decided that we don't want to take the presentation into account because it's a best paper award and not the best presentation award. Therefore, we just judged the paper according to the quality of the paper, the reviews, and our personal assessment. We did it as the short paper group. We independently rated the different papers, and we had quite a common assessment about the first two papers. It was quite easy. We have some discussion, but not a lot of discussion. And to make time short, everybody is looking forward. Who gets the paper? Who will get the paper? I would like to ask Derek to do the job of announcing who gets the best paper.
Yeah, well, I only have to press one button here to tell you who will get a nice NVIDIA graphics card for the honorary mention, and it was pretty much decided right away by the three of us. We all had it rated number 2, and here it is, if I find the right button.
I can push you. Let's push the button. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here it is. It's a paper, Comparative Exploration of Document Collections, a Visual Analytics Approach, by Daniela Oetker, Henrik Strobel, Christian Rollins, Irina EuroVis, and Oliver Boyson. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
And there's only one more thing to do. It's again just one button. And again, we all agreed that there's only one choice for the best full paper of EuroVis 2014. This time they will get, since it's also not one author, they will get a graphics card and a tablet and a certificate on top. So Bob is very generous to all of us. He essentially seems to making a surplus and has to give the money back to the people before the university takes it over. And here's the best paper. It's Cliffs for Exploring Crowdsourced Subjective Service the Classification by Alexander Kachoff, Joe Wood, and Jason Dykes.
This is a very quick announcement for the historic Viz 2014 in Paris this coming November. So this is the very first Viz outside of the US, which makes it very historic. And from what I understand, it took about 5 years of discussion and persuasion to move the Viz outside of the US. And let's give a round of applause to Jean-Daniel Fekete for managing that such I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Let's move on.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I would like to point out that one interesting deadline is coming up. Many of us are dealing with medical data and biological data. Papers which are having such a target audience as a goal in mind are highly encouraged to submit their works, their papers to the VCBM, which is this year in Vienna. The deadline is, well, now we will see first that the conference is 4th to 5th of September. It will be in Vienna in the city center in the campus of the University of Vienna, which is called Altes AKH, the Old General Hospital, and it's a very nice and cozy area. The conference will take place in an old anatomy Hörsaal, which is quite uncomfortable to sit because it has not been refurnished, but nobody will fall asleep there. That's a good side of it. And I would like to point out the slight change. We have decided to extend the deadline a little bit because the deadline was on 19th of June. We moved it to 22nd because 19th of June in Austria is a holiday, and we will not work at that time. And on Friday we will probably not work either. So, so we have moved it to the Sunday evening, and on Monday we will then distribute the papers. Yes, then we will work. Thank you very much.
Well, hello everybody. This is also just a short announcement for all the people that may be sitting there and asking, what do I do with my paper if you don't make it by Sunday of next week? So on behalf of Wei Chen, I'm here to announce the Pacific Viz 2015, which will be in Hangzhou. And you see some of the facilities over here, some of the leisure possibilities on here. And well, they even have figured out how much the prices will be once you get your paper accepted, may be important. So the full papers deadline is not completely fixed, but it will be late September, so shortly after your holidays, I suppose. And any more information will be advised at the website very shortly. Thanks a lot.
So we've got more announcements of the upcoming things, and one of the questions you may be asking about this point is how can you possibly compete with Paris and the Notre Dame, Hangzhou and the Chinese countryside, Vienna and the old Krankenhaus? Well, it turns out that next year's Topo Invis will be in Trifels, Germany, and for anybody who doesn't know the Rhineland, let me ask you this. where would you put King Richard the Lionheart if you'd captured him and held him to ransom? And the answer is right there. Now, the downside is, of course, we don't get to hold the meeting up there. We're instead going to hold it down the hill in the Kurhaus Treefells. And this is Topo Invis, which is for topology-based methods in visualization, and it comes as no surprise that Christoph, Tino, and I are engaged in organizing it. We'll have a full paper submission in January, and we hope to see all of you there who are interested in topology. Now, that's not the only thing I wanted to mention. The other thing is that Hank Childs and I got roped into organizing a visualization summer school at the Hartree Centre, which is one of the British National Labs up near Manchester. The core week last year was high performance computing led by Jack Dongara, and this year they asked Hank and myself to organize a separate one for visualization. And the target is people who have some experience with computing, but do not know much about visualization, and that means that the target includes all your colleagues in other disciplines who have PhD students who need to know the basics of visualization, and any students you may have who also need to know the basics and you haven't had the time to get around to telling them. The dates are July 14th to 18th, and it costs about £300 including accommodation, so you can send a student for perhaps €500 to €600 including travel if you get a cheap flight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is the announcement for next year, EuroVis 2015. So this means that this will be not the last EuroVis. There was a lot of discussion, but we said in the end that it was worth continuing the conference. So these are the major points. First thing is the date are already fixed. It will be in May 25th to 29th, a full week. The location is Cagliari in Sardinia, Italy. It's organized locally by my research center, and I will be the general chair. The organization of the week will be exactly the same as the successful one of this year, with collocated events on the first day and the following part dedicated to the conference. And the reason that we decided not to kill EuroVis is that it's great. So that should be it, but since it's EuroVis, I got 5 minutes, which is more than all the others, so I continue with some boring slides. And here is where Cagliari is, so it's the most important place around there, as this visualization shows. It's a nice place to live and to be there. Surprisingly, there are research centers and universities in the areas that do things in visualization. There is my group and also groups at the university. We'll try to organize something locally. And there are other interesting places just a walk from the conference center. This means that probably the attendance will be not so good, but we'll plan for bad weather. Just to exchange. Important dates. We are just setting up the committees. The call for papers will be out just after the summer. The first deadlines should be around October with the full papers, and then following short papers and poster deadlines, and the conference is in May. We are on an island, but Cagliari is surprisingly well connected. We have many direct flights to major places in Europe, and the important thing is that the hub in Rome and Milan is just a 1 hour flight, and we have tens of flights to Rome or Milan locally. So arriving there or traveling from there, it's easier than coming to Wales, for example. We have other advantages. The hotel is downtown, and we have a lot of other things. I think 5 minutes is enough for this, and I continue with the fact that the EuroVis website is already up and running, and there is a lot of other information. So we can continue with the closing of the closing session. Bye-bye.
like to invite. Now I'd like to invite steering committee chairman for the Eurographics, for the Eurographics and the VGTC conference of EuroVis.
Thank you, Min. I will not keep you too long. I first want to correct Enrico. The deadline will be somewhere in December. So don't worry, don't start writing your EuroVis papers right away. I'm Eddie Gröller from the Vienna University of Technology, and I'm speaking for the EuroVis steering committee. Actually, this is part of the Eurographics working group on data visualization. We are part of the Eurographics family. EuroGraphics is the largest organization in Europe organizing scientific events in graphics and related areas like graphics, rendering, virtual reality, cultural heritage, and visualization. So this is a huge task that can only be performed when we have enough volunteers and contributors. And there's also a possibility that you can be member of EuroGraphics. Who of you is not yet member of the EuroGraphics? Yeah, thanks for raising your hands. David Hughes is here. I see him in the room. Raising your hands, you volunteered now to become members. We will take your data, your names. We have cameras. So thank you for joining EuroGraphics. And if you don't do it today, do it tomorrow. So why am I here? I mean, we have been at this lovely conference, and the EuroVis steering committee is one task. The major task is to find heroes who are taking the task to organize such a lovely event. As I've seen, everything has been organized in a very professional way. It was very enjoyable, and that involves a lot of people, and we have seen the various committee people, and if something goes wrong, they are escalating the problems upwards until there's no more upwards, and that's actually the place where the two heroes, Min and Bob, are standing, and the buck stops there. I mean, they have to deal with that. But on the other hand, if you met them during the week, they're always smiling. And this is very amazing, and this means that if you're organizing EuroVis, then you become a happy person, and then you start smiling. So in the future, if you want to follow their nice example, just contact me or somebody else from the steering committee, and we will take your wish into account. So to make it short, we cannot compensate these people with some large monetary thing which they would appreciate. So I thought we are on a green island. I have to bring maybe some substance, and so I brought a green substance here that I will give to Bob and Min. It doesn't have any label. I have a secret source, and I was a little bit worried to bring it into the country, so I asked a colleague of mine actually to do that for me. I never expected that he would make it, but he did that. For those that don't know that, this is pumpkin seed oil, and Bob years ago lived some years in Austria, and he became hooked up to this stuff, and it's a perfect gasifier. I mean, either you really like this stuff or you really hate it. So I brought a second bottle also for Min. Poor Min doesn't know what he has to expect. Keep it in the dark and keep it cool, and Bob will explain to you what to do about that. For a more enduring reward, I have. We organized some stuff, a heavy stuff made of serpentine, which is a half precious stone, but we have two of those, and 1/2 times 2 is 1. And it's really heavy. It has the logo on it and also the name of the people, and it's large, so that you can put it in a place where it can collect a lot of dust. So with this, I would really express my appreciation for the two conference chairs for taking on this really important task for our community, especially for the young people in the field working on their PhD. Such conferences and well-organized conferences are really important. So I will stop now. I will hand over this stuff to the conference chairs. Pop told me if I could kiss him on the stage. I will do this, and so thank you very much. Thank you, Meister. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, great. So, welcome to the capstone session of EuroVis 2014. It's my distinguished pleasure to welcome you all here. Vielen Dank to the Meister for the Bussi. Okay, so this beautiful capstone is also synergized with something we call the Distinguished Lecture Series. So the Swansea University Department of Computer Science organizes and runs something called the Distinguished Lecture Series. It features invited high-profile computer scientists from a number of diverse and international backgrounds. We thought it would be selfish if we kept John Stasko to just the EuroVis crowd, so we opened it up to the rest of the Swansea community and feature it also as part of our Distinguished Lecture Series. Just some logistics about this talk. So immediately following the talk, we ask everybody to move their way to the refreshments, which are in Cafe West of Fulton House, where all the other EuroVis refreshments were. Thank you very much to Software Alliance Wales for helping us with that. For EuroVis conference delegates, there is a bagged lunch also to be picked up in Cafe West, so that also will motivate you to move over there after the talk. We've organized a minibus to Cardiff Airport, which is going to depart at 14:30 in front of Fulton House, for those that may be interested. There's also a taxi stand right in front of Fulton House for anybody that needs a taxi. And we've organized an excursion, which we will again meet at 14:30 in front of Fulton House. If the weather permits, which it looks like it will, we'll take a bus to Mumbles, and then we'll walk around Mumbles, from Mumbles to Langland Bay, have a coffee break, and then back. It's a really beautiful walk. I would only recommend this if you're staying until tomorrow morning or quite late, like midnight tonight or something. There are some people that fall into that category. Okay, let's welcome Professor John Stasko. I'm not going to say that much because I would have to stand here for an hour, just talking about him. But here are some highlights. Yeah, so he's very well-known international leader in information visualization and visual analytics. He was the general chair of IEEE Viz, which is the main Viz conference 2013, and the main chair of InfoVis 2007, and he was Paper's co-chair of IEEE VAST in 2009, IEEE InfoVis in 2005 and 2006. I could go on, but let's stop rambling and welcome our distinguished speaker.